The Nastycollective podcast. Yeah, I said the Nastycollective podcast. What we talking about?
Fucking Gucci with y'all people from the motherfucking earth. We out here with the Nastycollective podcast, and today we got a special guest for y'all, man. We got a special guest. I should have paid this guy to be here on time. You know what I mean?
I don't know about all that.
He deserves money. He deserves conversation. You know what I mean? But we got a great man. Really nice. Videographer things. You know, like you do a lot of shit. So I don't even want to just title you a videographer, but great man. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Mike Kessel. Take it away, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Mike. I run Kesselkreations, photographer and videographer here in Sioux City. Based out of Sioux City, I guess. I travel quite a bit. I'm kind of working a little more into the travel thing as I go. I used to travel quite a bit doing music stuff, so that's a big passion of mine. You know, one of my favorite things about all this is like meeting new people, experiencing new things, you know. So,
for sure.
You know, I don't know if I want to put that box around it, but yeah, this is home. So
nice. And what even got you started? We'll start off there. Like, what even got you started into this whole photography game?
You know, it's kind of funny because there's a lot of photographers that are like, you know, I knew my whole life. Like when I was a kid, I had a cheap camera, I was playing with it, and it wasn't like that for me. Like I kind of fell into it on accident.
Okay.
I was in the music industry for like 10 years. And I had done some production jobs where I ran cameras for festivals, done some, you know, like running audio and video and stuff like that back then. And went into booking shows and whatever. And 2020 hit and that kind of all stopped. So I kind of had to switch lanes and figure out what I was doing from there. And I had someone hit me up for a music video. I'm like, you know, I'm not really professional at this point, but if you trust me, let's hit it. Let's do it, you know? So I did that. And then one of his buddies was a rapper and he's like, hey man, like 3 of my brothers are rappers. They need music videos too, you know? So
that's what's up.
It just kind of took off from there.
So that's what like your first introduction was, is doing the music video. That's what you started, right?
Yeah. And it was like kind of a natural flow because like I was already in the music industry. I had played music before. So like I knew like what artists expected. And, you know, coming from that angle, I kind of knew what to do. I just had to learn the video stuff.
You said a little earlier, jump back in a little bit. You said you booked shows. What was your performance then?
So I started performing, actually. I was in a couple metal bands and toured and did that kind of stuff.
Okay. What do you play?
I played guitar.
Damn. Talented motherfucker. Okay, I see you. So how was that? How was the whole band life there?
Oh man, I loved it, man. Those are some of my best days for sure. You know, they're not a whole lot better than making music with your brothers and traveling and, you know, just that energy you get off the stage, you know?
Yeah.
But when I started that, I didn't know anyone who booked shows. I just started booking shows for us, and then I started booking shows for other people, and same thing, it just kind of snowballed, you know?
So you became a little bit like a manager for some people there.
Yeah, actually, after a few years, I moved up and I was management at Hard Rock, and I was booking and like managing the shows at Hard Rock for a couple of years.
Oh, that's tight.
I did all sorts of stuff, man. Like I hit about every end of that industry, and and then this came, and you know, it's worked out almost better than that has, so it's pretty cool. It was just kind of those serendipity, you know, something you don't really expect to happen, but I think it's meant to be.
You know, one quote from a great man was Bruce Lee. I'm not too sure exactly how he said it, but he goes, "Be water, my friend," because the water adapts to any shape that it's poured into. You're kind of like that. That's what you kind of reminded me of, is like every aspect of what you're like picking up, you kind of just flow with it, but the difference is that like you actually put your like commitment into it. You actually put some time into it and like kind of master that craft, right? Like you went from music to like filming. That's like a good, you know, that's a pretty big jump there, you know?
Yeah, so, I feel like if you're going to do anything, you got to do it 100% or why are you doing it, you know? Mm-hmm. And as far as like the adaptability thing, I think that's something I learned like really early on. I grew up in a really small town, like a farm community, and it felt like you had like 2 choices. You either had to be like a redneck or a jock, and I wasn't either one. I was a little like hippie metal kid, you know?
Okay.
So like back then, even I kind of had to learn like, okay, so how do I like, you know, fit in, get along? You know, I wasn't trying to be someone I wasn't, but like, how do I be who I am and also get along with all these people who aren't like me, you know? And that's really fed into like the music thing, into the photography thing. It's great because like, I do all sorts of things. I do music videos. I shoot weddings. I do, you name it, basically. Like I do it, so it's really easy for me now to like go out and I can get along with anybody. I know, Jason, Raw Reality. I like how he says it.
Jason,
Yeah, he's killer. But I like how he says it. He said to me one day, he's like, what's different about me and you? He's like, we're the type of photographers, you can take us to the church or you can take us to the strip club and it don't matter.
Right.
I really liked when he said that.
You see, and a question I did have for you, and, shout out Jason, Raw Reality, and shout out Nina Hill, I think it was. Also, before we get into anything further real quick, shout out my boy C-Note for Nightlife. Give me the shirt. Appreciate you.
I shot a video for C-Note too.
Hey, yeah.
C-Note's a good dude.
C-Note's out here, bro. But you said, like, you could take me to church and you could take me to the strip club. So a question I had for you, because I did a little bit of, like, digging into, like, what you've been shooting, what, like, kind of been going on with you. I saw some shots from Misfit, the clown, right?
Yeah.
So...
Mischief.
Sorry for fucking up the name. Shout out them. So I see some shots like that where it's like very demonic, like gory kind of vibe, And then I see some wedding photos of yours that are very like in the hills, you got the sunset in the background, hit that shit nice. Why are you so comfortable with shooting things like off the spectrum to that point? So like I fuck with that you do that. So why and like is that your kind of standard there?
I feel like there's certain jobs that pay really well and you got to learn how to do them, but like you have to also like do what you love to do and you have to be creative. And like I said, I came from a background playing in metal bands. So obviously some of the darker, like more creative stuff, like kind of stems in that world, Mm-hmm. And I just like the variety, man. That's kind of like I was saying earlier, like there's not anything that I really super dislike doing in this industry. I like the variety. I like that I can go out every day and it's different, like one day I might go shoot for business. I've shot for like doctors' offices, like all sorts of stuff like that. I've done bands, musicians, I've done weddings, like you said, couples, families, and I just like the variety. I think if I did anything, even if it was something that I loved, if I did the exact same thing every day, I'd get tired of it. What kind of is your favorite thing to shoot? I think it changes all the time. Mm-hmm. When I first started, it was definitely music videos. I take a lot of influence from movies and like lighting. Right. You can get really weird and do all sorts of stuff with music videos, Anymore, I don't really know, man, but I've leaned heavier into photography than video these days. It's just like video takes a lot of time to put together, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And like now that I'm full time, I gotta make it sustainable. So like going out and trying to put a video together that might take 2 weeks versus a photo shoot that might take me 2 or 3 days is a big difference, Right. But yeah, I like editorial photography, like working with models like that really love being in front of the camera, and then we can get really creative and just like, we can pick any theme and you can just like grab something random. It could be a shopping cart or a garbage can, and like you just find some way to like make it work, as a prop, and that shit's cool to me. Yeah, because it seems like as a creative that like you just kind of want to get talking with different mediums, you know what I mean? Like whether it be just photos, you're kind of setting up the scene. You want to put your creativity out there, like you kind of want to use that creativity of yours and work at it. I'm kind of the same way there, how you just said, because every time I get to do a very creative shoot, like, bro, I'm hella down for that because it's always so fun and like figuring it out. It's just, it's like why this thing's so fun, Yeah, even if it's not paid, man, it's worth getting that out because it keeps you motivated. Like, like one thing that like a lot of people would consider weakness is I don't have a studio. So like I have to go out and scout locations for every client and figure out where we're going to shoot and how we're going to make it happen. And it is more work, but I think it's an advantage in a way because like it makes everything unique to every client. I tell people like, do you want the same studio, the same photos, the same poses as every other client? Or do you want something that's specific to you? We could pick like a location you've never been to that's exciting for you, or a location that's sentimental to you and means something to you. And those photos are going to mean that much more to you. Does that ever get rough being in Sioux City and like trying to figure out a new spot in Sioux City? It's getting there. I feel
Yeah.
like there's like not too many spots I haven't shot in at this point, you know?
Right.
But I also travel, you know, I shoot in Sioux Falls and Omaha and Des Moines quite a bit.
I've seen that.
I've gone
for real.
to Atlanta, Chicago.
Yeah.
I was just out in Colorado for a week about a month ago. So like I really try to branch out and like make stuff happen, you know? Like there's always something, you know? There's like hidden gems. Like one time I was on vacation with some friends and they were like, man, look at that scenery. That looks like a great place that you'd take the best photo there. And I'm like, nah, man, look at that dingy little street corner over there, man. That shit's cool. You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, you gotta weigh with yourself, you know, you gotta like, you know yourself to a point where you're trusting that creative mindset that you got. You need that being an artist out here. You just gotta trust your thoughts.
You do, but like one thing I think everyone sees like people who are successful and they think they just got it on lock, you know, and like they're all like, oh, I'm worried about me, I'm comparing myself to them. But it's not, you know, even those people, like everyone who's a creative has some kind of imposter syndrome, you know. And I think it's important to like look at that in like a constructive way. So like I heard someone say one time that like imposter syndrome is a good thing. Because if you're comfortable, you're not growing, you're not expanding, you're not pushing yourself. So like if you feel like, you know, you have a little bit of that like doubt or a little bit of that uncomfortability, it means that you're out of your comfort zone and you're growing, you know, and that's what's up. That's where you should be, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, even myself, like with the whole Nastyco going on, I don't follow anybody on my Instagram. And the reason for that is because I don't want to be checking out constant art, you know? I don't want to even have like the mindset of, oh, I got to check my Instagram again, you know? Whenever I do check my Instagram, it's just because either someone hit me up or I'm posting, you know? But I do think like it is healthy to see other people's work because then it almost keeps your creativity alive in a way. Because I have seen other people work, like my boy Christian at Mobius. I see him work, you know, and I'm like, damn, he just dropped a music video. I'm gonna have to drop another music video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that fool from
pushes
like,
you know,
from childhood. So like,
I used to work with him when I was doing the shows at Hard Rock. He was a stagehand. I was his manager, and then he hit me up. He's like, man, I think I'm gonna start doing video too. I'm like, hell yeah, man, let's see what you got. And he's killing it out there.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. So shout out him too, bro, because we all out here trying, you know, for sure. So speaking of trying and the whole business aspect of things, I have seen like almost your career, you know, blossom in a way. Because I've known about you since like you kind of started. Because I seen you, you know, push your stuff out. What made you go from having that day job and like that for sure 2 weeks pay, you know, or like week pay, whatever it was, what made you go from that security to like, I'm going to start my own shit. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, pursue my dream right here, or my, you know, passion right now. What made you jump that, and what kind of were you feeling during that time?
It's scary for sure, man.
Yeah.
It's a tough jump to make. And there's even now, like there's months where I struggle. Like there's months where I got more money than I've ever made, and there's months where it's like I gotta like scrap stuff together to eat my dinners, you know?
Yeah.
But what made me to take the jump, like I think I was kind of already in that mindset from when I was doing music, you know? I really like this quote from Travis Barker. Like you see it all over TikTok. He says something about like, you know, my dad's like, you got to have a plan B. And he's like, nah, if I have a plan B, I'm not going to try as hard. And that was my mindset like all along. Like I decided a long time ago, like I've worked other jobs, but it's been a means to do what I want to do. I've been offered like really good paying jobs from like businesses I have no interest in working in.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, man. I just can't like waste my life for money, you know? Like I got to do something I'm passionate about. And like, I mean, that's what it's about, you know?
So how long have you been doing this shit solo dolo with your whole career right now?
Kesselkreations on paper is about 2 years old. I've been doing it about 3 under Kesselkreations.
Right.
First time I picked up a camera was probably like 8 or 9 years ago, but that was just like doing the festivals for another company I was working for.
Okay. And how has it been the past 2 years?
Rough at first. Like there was a lot of trial and error. I had to figure out like my workflow. Like you got to learn like the business end. You got to learn how to market. You got to learn how to like do a lot of things. It's not just learning the camera.
You're the whole team. You're the whole team.
Yeah. Sure. A lot of companies got like 5 or 6 people to fill the roles. like it's one man out here fucking doing the whole thing.
Yeah. Do you like how are you managing that shit? How is that experience of having to be each member of your company in every aspect?
It's stressful sometimes, but I mean, I like a challenge, man. So, I mean, I think that helps me out for sure.
I think I've seen like your TikTok pop up, and you're kind of like active on there, right? Like,
I try to
promoting the business, or is it more of like who you are?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It's definitely like about promoting the business, but like I think it's important to be authentic, you know, on all your social media. Like people want to connect to a person, you know, like they might like your art, but end of the day, that client's going to have to work with you and trust you. Like you could take the best photos in the world, but be a complete dick. And I don't want to work with that guy. I'll take someone who takes a little bit less good photos and is fucking awesome to hang out with and work with, I mean, not every client, but I've had clients that end up being friends after we work together, and that's what's up. That's what I like to see,
Yeah, and that's kind of how I try to go about my business too, because at the end of the day, when someone does offer me like a bigger amount of money, at this point of where I'm at, because I'm not fully doing that business, I just kind of like either I the way I go about taking a gig is, who is it? What are they trying to do, and how serious are they about that? Because there is times when I'll do shit for money, but most of the majority of what I do for my little passion here is strictly based off of how much do I fuck with that, and then I'll plan accordingly from there, because I have taken jobs where it's just strictly about the money, but then the guy's like kind of rough to work with.
Dude, and you got a gut feeling when they hit you up too. You already know when it starts. Like they hit you up and they don't tell you anything. They're just like, "What's up, dog?" And it's some stranger. I'm already like, all right, this dude's probably not going to take this very serious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be led on, and like I want to enjoy our interaction. I want to like this to be beneficial for everybody.
Definitely.
But like, like I said, I still got to run a business. So
and sometimes I try to talk to people, some people I work with, and I'm like, yo man, like we can do what you're trying to do for what you're saying, for the amount that you're saying, but you have to understand that time is money. As friendly as I can say that too, because at the end of the day, you're not trying to be an asshole to somebody, but like time is money in the industry, and if you want someone to do something for you and you want them to do it clean for you, the only part you have to put up is that aspect of like that exchange, and what I like to see is when I do work with people, they really put their heart into that project. They're like, bro, I appreciate you doing this for me. We're going to plan this shit out and we're going to get this shit right.
Yeah, I want it to be collaborative,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I sit down with like every client, either in person or on the phone, and I'd be like, tell me your vision, like what do you picture this to be, and then I'll take whatever they tell me, like all the notes, I'll ask them a bunch of questions and we'll put it all together. And then I'll mix like what they come up with and what I picture in my head. And then like there's this whole other thing when you go out and shoot it that's like all these variables that are like unpredictable, and it becomes this whole other thing that's like a combination of what they think and what you think and something completely else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something cool about it. But like what you were saying about like money and time and all that, like have you ever heard the thing where it's like, tell someone like you can get it cheap, you can get it good, or you can get it fast. You can only pick two though.
Right.
Like you can get it good and cheap, but it ain't gonna be fast.
Yeah.
Or you can get it good and fast, but it ain't gonna be cheap.
Exactly.
Like that's
for sure.
That's how it is, because it's a lot of work, man. People think it's just like going out and pressing a button, but like if you're actually doing the damn thing, there's a lot to it,
You have to know like the settings. You have to come back to the crib, edit that shit up, and it takes time from like your day, because after a shoot, someone will be like, yo, send me a little preview, you know what I mean? But that means that you have to sit in front of your computer as soon as you get home, export that shit, and then get that little clip for them to send it. It's like that's that little extra that like they don't understand. you just want to go home and like maybe, you know, eat some lunch and then like take a nap and then wake up next morning early, you know, or some shit. Just because like I say that just because it's almost like a waiter. When a waiter goes and like gives the person their food, it's like they're catering to that person, you know? And when we're out here shooting for people, it's like you're hyping them up, you know, like you're saying this shit's fire. And then when you make the video, you're making them look as clean as possible. So it's like when you do go home, it is like having that accommodation of when am I going to take the time out of my life to do this, you know, aspect. So that's why like I do charge for like editing, you know, or something like that, because I didn't before. And now I do because I'm like, damn, bro, like I'm spending 6-8 hours, you know, and like just editing one video or some shit.
Editing's like the biggest part of the work. Like people think you go out there, you might shoot for 2 or 3 hours and they think that's, you know, all you're doing. But
but you're making that shit look clean.
The edit's like the real work, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, at a certain point, like I was doing free things when I started this whole passion. I was just doing free for everybody. And then it got to a point where it was just like, you're demanding way too much of me for this free thing, you know? And I just got to like, I started feeling a certain way of like doing so much for free. And then it got the best of me. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done doing things for free.
Well,
you know?
There's nothing wrong with doing stuff for free every once in a while, you know, get your name out there. Like even last month, I went out to Colorado to shoot a wedding and I did a bunch of free shoots out there because I want to network and get out there and like branch out there, you know, like if there's something beneficial to it or like, you know, like there's times and places for that.
Yeah, you're right.
But like
you're right
once you get to the point where you are feeling like worn down or like burn out, you got to like stop and reassess.
Yeah.
Like not even free. Like sometimes you just got to raise your price because you're like, I feel like I'm working too hard for what I'm making, you know, like, and you got to be comfortable. You got to be happy too. Like you're saying, we're people, you know, like, it's, you know, it's
got to manage your levels, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I heard one time, to build off of what you're saying, is somebody did say like money is not the only currency, you know, because if you are doing things for free, it could be almost like, hey, I'll do this, you know, photo shoot for you, but come on the podcast, you know, or some shit. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love the barter system. I got a couple of friends who are like massage therapists that give me massages for free and stuff because like I'll shoot photos for them, you know, like as long as we're both happy at the end of the day, cool. Like it ain't about money. Like, you know, neither one of us are here doing this just because of money. Like we could go work at a factory at Tyson or Walmart or something, you know, if it was just about money.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
But like there's more to it than that.
And speaking on the whole, like, producing this work, what was one of your, like, favorite shoots that you have done so far?
Ooh.
There's a lot.
Man, I've done a lot. You drop a heavy question.
Yeah. Well, let's just say one of, like, the top ones that you liked, you know?
Sure.
Still gotta be number one, but one of the cooler ones, you know?
I like going to like model meetups and stuff. I go to some like model meetups in Des Moines, and that's really cool because you're like the people in front of the camera are also really passionate about shooting. Like sometimes you're working with people who like want photos, but they're uncomfortable, you know? You got to like make them comfortable in front of the camera. But when you're like already there, base level, starting that way, like you can create so much cool stuff. I just shot an elopement in Colorado. That was awesome. I want to do more of that. Going out and, you know, have someone pay me to go out in the mountains and just, you know, be with them on like the most important day of their life. Like that's so cool, you know? There's some music videos early on that I did that I think like the concept was really dope, but like my quality and my like technical skill wasn't quite there, you know?
Okay.
But some of those were my favorite, honestly. Yeah.
No, it'd be like the early like stages of things that sometimes be the favorites. I have hella videos that are fucking awful as videos, but they're awesome to me, you know, for sure.
Yeah, it's like the conceptual stuff behind them. It's like there's more limitations, you know. I didn't have as good of gear. I didn't know as much. So like I had to get more creative with it to like make something cool, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've tried every once in a while. Like I've heard people say, you know, like if you want to expand, you want to grow, like put more limitations on yourself. And I think there's some truth to that, you know? You really grow that way. Back when I was playing music, I had a drummer that was like my best friend. We jammed together all the time. And one time he's like, I'm going to start with just my kick drum. He's like, I'm not even going to set up the rest of the kit. I'm just going to play with just the kick drum. And then like 10 minutes later, he added in the snare. 10 minutes later, he added another drum. Like, you know, like stuff like that. Like it's going to make you better with what you have. You know, like if you have like everything in the world, the fanciest gear, it doesn't make you the best, you know?
No, I definitely seen people say they'll like my shot that I gave them, you know? Even back then before I got like the whole Sony and shit, the whole 4K and shit going on for myself, they'd be like, damn, that's a fire ass photo, you know? And
you fuck it up with those like edits though, man. You do like some crazy like almost like graphic design stuff over them and stuff. It's unique. It's cool.
See, I heard two different opinions about it because I heard like, you know, how you say it's cool and I appreciate that. But I also heard like from that Reddit shit, it's like you're trying to compensate for a shitty photo with graphics. You know what I mean?
Man, if it looks good at the end of the day, who cares how you got there, you know?
And in my head, it's not like I'm trying to say like, let me make this photo better. In my head, I'm like, this photo's not done yet, you know? Like that's what goes on in my head. I'm just like, it's not finished.
You got a vision.
Yeah. So then I just go off and do my Basquiat shit because Michael Jean Basquiat once said he doesn't think about what he's painting. He thinks about every brushstroke as he's painting because the whole picture don't matter. It matters about like the feelings, like what kind of feelings are going into what you're creating. Because at the end of the day, when you're making something with feelings, you'll see like yourself in it. You'll see some passion in it. You'll see hard work and dedication most of the time, you know? And I have like, you know, I talk about this a lot, but something cool that happened, but it happened a long time ago. Like Waka Flocka, Young Gravy reposted my stuff. To have that and being a youngin' that no one knows coming out of fucking Nebraska and shit, you know, for them to repost that stuff, it gives me some like credibility of being like, oh shit, all right, I'm doing something all right, you know, I'm doing something good. That Reddit guy, you know, that he has his opinion, but these guys think it's pretty badass, and I shot him with the fucking Nikon, you know, man, like an old ass Nikon.
You're gonna have haters.
No, for sure.
No matter where you're at in your career, like like I mean, fuck that guy on Reddit, honestly.
No,
you know, like if you're happy with what you're doing, if your clients are happy with what you're doing it right. Like you can always get better. You should always work to get better, but like. Man, the better you get, probably the more haters you're gonna have, honestly.
And I hear that too. Is that like that's how you know you're doing something right? Is if you do got these haters on you, you know?
Yeah, jealousy, you know.
I saw today. To shout out my boy, Britton Hackey. I saw someone had like a fake BrittonHackey.com type of thing, and they were like trying to scam people and shit. So I was like, fuck, you know. But like, some person in the comments did say like imitation is the best way of flattering, or you know. The best flattering there. So I kind of took that like that, and it was like, oh shit, like these guys that are trying to scam people are like, damn, this guy's such a big name that I'm
right. They're seeing something in him, you know, like they want to like piggyback on that or something, you know, like
weirdos for sure. But,
go out there and make it on your own, you know, like don't be doing that. But
no, yeah, for sure. I seen like in the past maybe 4 or 5 years. We have had a lot more like culture into the whole photography, videography going on because maybe I was just too young to see it beforehand. But like I know like Taylor Grody was out here still, you know, doing his thing. Shout out Honey Wave. But maybe I just started paying attention about like 5 years ago or something like that. I got put on by Raw just because he was the first one to tell me, hey, this is kind of like what lens you want to shoot with. This is kind of like if you mess with this settings, you know, shit like that. So like I respect him for that because he was one of the OGs that put me on. But before that, I have no idea like who shot besides like graphics, I think it was, you know, because he's a little older gentleman. And when I started coming into the game, I started seeing a lot of culture. Like we got like Marco 2 a.m., you know, like he's doing his thing with the whole graphics and everything too. And I just think like as the years go on, the definition of a good photo just keeps going further and further and further because there's so much more work coming out.
Everything evolves, you know, like look at music, man. Like music today is way different than music 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Right.
And photo's the same thing. There's new gear, there's new styles, there's new trends. Like it's weird. Like every couple of years, like that shit changes. Like blurry photos are like a popular thing right now. Have you seen that? And like, you know, if you would have like shown someone a blurry photo like 10 years ago, they'd be like, "You don't know what you're doing." Like, you know,
I'm money bag.
And now it's like, "Nah, dude, I'm an artist."
And speaking on top of that, what is the Kesselkreations style? How did you adapt to that point? And are you like to the point of like, yeah, I got my style?
I think I'm still figuring it out.
Okay.
I think there's definitely like I think if you look at my photos, you can tell it's my photos, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm always learning and trying new things. Like recently I started doing some composite stuff where like I'll like flip images and mirror them and
Okay,
like do some
dope.
different stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm always trying to add to it. Like what can I do different? And then like editing style wise, like I'm really like bold colors and contrasty and like
Mm-hmm.
very like a lot of clarity and stuff. But like I also really like really dark tones, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something I'm working on like adding a little bit of moving forward. But I got to figure out how to do it in a way where it looks good and it still looks like me, you know. So like a lot of those things I don't like push; they just kind of happen naturally, and then like over time, like slowly progresses into something else. But there's still like the roots are still there, you know.
Yeah. So does that apply with when you're doing creative shoots where it's like, how do you come up with that concept of those creative shoots? Like, I think one time you had a chair or something in the forest or something like that, like a whole like kind of like living room kind of vibe.
Yeah. I don't know. That's something I've always liked. I like urban decay, like nature regrowing over like man-made stuff and like
Right.
stuff that doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost add something cool, you know? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't really know what it is, but like yeah, they all come from different places, man. Like the inspiration might come from a movie or something that happened in my life or something the client has an idea about or something I saw on Instagram. Like it's always different, but I think a lot about colors.
Mhm.
Colors evoke different emotions, and like certain colors look good together. So like, you know, like reds can like make you feel like love or anger, and like blues are calming, and like, you know, like every like color has different like subconscious like connotations. So
Right.
using those in the right way will like take it to the next level too.
That's what's up. And as far as like, you know, you got all this like experience, you got kind of your style down, you got to the point where you're like, you know, doing your thing. You're like you're just coasting up, you know what I mean? You're not like, the only way you can fall right now is if you stop. That's the biggest thing right now. If you stop going, then yeah, you're gonna fall off.
Ain't
But
no
like
stopping, baby.
But you know, like you're to a point where like you're good enough, and you're like, I will say, like, you're fucking awesome at your job. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
But you're good enough to the point where you just keep going right now. You're just gonna skyrocket, 100%. I see it already. Now that you're touching bases with other states, Colorado especially, how you're saying, dude, it's just up from here. You know, like 100%.
Yeah, I'm always looking for the next way to grow or like
Mhm.
level it up, you know, like, and I think the biggest thing is consistency, man.
Right. We
Like,
talk about that a lot on here for
yeah,
sure.
like consistency is key. Like, again, you can be like the most talented guy out there, but if you ain't going after it all the time, you ain't gonna grow, you know, like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's the consistency will trump talent, like
Mm-hmm.
time and time again.
Exactly, bro. I'm telling you, I tell these motherfuckers a lot. I tell them all the time. Yeah, because like they say, the person that was better than Michael Jordan, like no one knew about him. You know what I mean? There's somebody out there, but just no one knew about him because he just
Mhm.
stopped doing that. He either had to like handle, you know, some life shit, or he just stopped doing what he was about.
Dude, I keep
You
throwing
know?
it back to music, but like that's another perfect example. You know, there's all
Mhm.
these bands that are like huge that like they're good, you know, but they're probably not the best. There's probably some like 15-year-old kid playing on YouTube in his bedroom that's the best guitarist in the world, you know,
Yeah.
or the best rapper in the world or something like that, you know,
Exactly.
like it's just because they're playing every day, you know, they're out there fucking going after what they want, and like that's the only thing they care about. It no plan B, like I said, you know, like just go for it, do what you want to do. Like I think that's huge. I think more people should do that, you know, like consistency aside, like just do what you love, like go after it, chase your dreams. Because like, man, I say it on my page all the time, like experience and relationships are like the only things you get to take with you. Like none of this
Right.
material bullshit matters. Like you can have a nice house, a nice car, like who cares? I don't give a shit. Like,
I give a shit. I would give a shit about a nice crib and a nice house.
I mean,
No, just
I ain't gonna
kidding,
say
but yeah,
no
I know what you
if
mean.
it works out.
Right,
but like
right.
end of the day, like I want to travel the world. I want to meet cool
Yeah,
people. I want
for
to
sure.
do cool things, and that
Yeah.
means a lot more to me than having shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like how you said, like the experience you take with you, you know, for sure. That's kind of how, you know, we out here for sure. Because I try not to take too much of the whole passion seriously, because it's how you said, like I am trying to, you know, look up from the screen sometimes too, and make sure I'm experiencing life that's, you know, moving around me as well, you know?
Yeah, you gotta
For sure.
you gotta grow as a person too.
Right.
You know, like
I'll make you a better creator for sure.
exactly. It goes
Mhm.
hand in hand. Like if you're just drilling it out, like you're gonna get burnt out. Like
Yep.
you gotta like go see things and learn things and do things, and it's just gonna like flow back into what you're creating.
I've been to the point where like I would work at like a truck stop and then I was like watching trailers and shit all day, and I would like, you know, I'd be like sneaking off and shit, and then I'll have my laptop start fucking editing, and then I'll go back and then just repeat every fucking day. Every day I was just doing that shit. I would work, edit at work, go home, edit, and then maybe shoot, or like, you know, and it was just a constant like every week. But then doing that, I saw my followers go up. I saw people starting to notice me a lot more. But what I also saw is that I was spending a lot less time in life because I was more intuitive with my social media than I was with my own mind. And I had to figure that shit out. And in trying to figure that shit out, it became a lot better on my video side because I started getting a lot more confident with myself and doing all this video stuff. It really shows when you're like able to talk to the customer, how you said, able to like be the homie that they need. And, you know, at the end of the day, just get along with people, have good experiences, and leave a good experience with everybody that you're encountering. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I think it's important to
yeah.
like sometimes like tuck away and like really grind, you know, but
Right.
like you can't do it all the time, you
Right,
know,
for
like
sure.
you still got to be a person, you still got to have a
Mhm.
life, like, and like having other interests and like things like you can take things again from those other interests and pour it back into your creativity, you know, like
Yep.
and like or the business side of it even. Like it's kind of weird because like in the last couple of years I've got really interested in like philosophy and psychology,
Dope.
and that has like amped my business up
Mhm.
so much because I just like understand like how I think better and how my body works better and how my clients think better and how like, you know, interactions work and like how to talk to people, and you know, like it just like is a part of everything, you know.
Yeah, doing this shit, that's exactly how I feel because I'm social out there, but there has been a point where I'm just like, I'm not even trying to step outside no more, you know, and go to these venues and shit like that no more because it is a lot of work and it's a lot of effort to be talking to everybody. And
Dude,
you know,
and you ever go to a show and people be like, "You don't have your camera?" It's like, man,
Right.
sometimes I just gotta kick it with the homies,
Mhm.
man.
Or
I ain't a machine.
you ever be there for somebody and then some other fools are like, "Hey, yo, Kessel, I'm about to go on right now."
Mhm.
You ever had
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's the homies, so that's what's up. But you know, like whenever you are out like that, people do notice you, and especially like doing the podcast now, people are like, "Oh, yo, I saw you on, you know, YouTube." Da-da-da. And that's what's up. That's cool. So you want to just like, whenever I go out, I'm either gonna get paid or have a good ass shoot. Like, you know, it's gotta be
Dude,
worth
and
it for me right
sometimes
now.
like going out and hanging out with people like are scared to like reach out to you as a business sometimes, but if they see you out and about like having a
That's
good
very
time,
true.
like sometimes they'll be like, "Hey man, I've been thinking about doing this project," and you can tell like they've had it on their mind for a while, but they just didn't want to reach out. But it's way
Yeah.
easier to like talk to a person, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes, you know,
Bring it
sometimes
down
that
to
shit's
like a
good for the
human
business
level.
too. Yeah,
Bring it
exactly.
to a human level for sure. With all that being said, what are the last statements, the last, you know, things that you want to say to these people, either to the folks out there that are trying to do the little video thing or just do a fucking have a career in general, have a business in general? What do you got to say to them folks coming from a guy that had a job, gave that up and said, I'm gonna do my own thing, I'm gonna handle my own way, and you know, we'll figure it out on the way there?
Follow your dreams. Like, you know, I know bills are a thing, whatever, but like find a way to work through it. Like you might have to work a little hard for a while, but it'll be easier later. Like, so like sacrifice some of that time up front for the long term, you know? Like,
Definitely.
but like go out, do what you want to do. You got to love your life, man. Like that's what it comes down to. Like don't be wasting it on something you don't care about.
Yeah. You got any plugs you want to hit? Where can the people follow you at? Where can they find you?
Man, I'm on all the socials, Facebook, Insta, TikTok. I got website, like YouTube. If you want to find me, you can find me. Just
Hell yeah.
Kesselkreations or Kesselkreations Media, man.
That's what's up. And with that being said, the Nastycollective podcast in this motherfucker. And we out, y'all. Doses. Appreciate you being on, homie.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate
That was
you.
dope.